Got it. Now we are recording. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, we're waiting for 2 more minutes to get started. So just give me 2 more minutes and we'll see if I can figure out how can I broadcast this. No problem. Let's get started. Hi, Shashidhar. Hi, Kalpan. Hi, Harsida and Brijesh. That's it. I think that's what I wanted. I invited like 10 people. I think Ankit is here, so let's invite him also and then just close. We'll make it as exclusive as possible. That's the goal. So we are going from more to less so that we can focus on things that actually matter rather than everything. So, first of all, if you know me, I'm Mahesh. I think all of you know me because you filled the form. So I need not to introduce myself. I think I do that I have this habit of doing that for the larger community. Hi, Ankit. Uh, I don't know anybody can take care of like adding people if they enter, but if not, I will just remind me in 5 minutes to check it out. And if they're 10 minutes late, they're not allowed. So let's continue. So today's agenda. Let me share my screen and see if that works. I'm struggling to make this LinkedIn live thing going, but one day hopefully we can make that happen. But today's agenda is this. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to look at current trends for 10 minutes. Kalpan can talk more about like why he messed up. Because that's what like, and if you work for a company and like the company messes up, you everybody believes that you messed up, and that's a good thing. At least you get to research what happened in your company. But the bad part is that people don't take your answers as your answers. So that's the bad part. So we can talk about that, and mostly like what happened, and then we'll talk about this idea that as you go into product management, you get into this big challenge or the opportunity for you, your first phase. What I think, a lot of things you can rely on your engineering team or your data science team, but one thing you can't rely actually is how to bring ROI or how to set measurements. So I thought let's take that head on. Let's discuss that first with this panel and then write it out or do more things. Harsha did a great job, by the way, last time. Although I that was last session was the bare minimum. Even my video was not working. So today we are doing great. My video works and we can record this session. So already 200% better. And Harsha kind of posted another cool stuff that he took the video that and created a blog out of it. I think we should get into that habit. Harsha is one good volunteer, but I would love to have more. So that's it. And then like the idea there is that we will try to look at like 4 or 5 sections or 4 or 5 things in this, which is this. We'll look at like what you are asked to do, and we'll go through like a journey with a live example, and then we'll see how can you actually quickly evaluate all the models out there, because now there are around 20 good models. Earlier there were like 3, but now there are 20. So how you go around them, so that's we will discuss. And then we'll go through What are the real challenges? So you decide the model, you put that into, some people do prompt engineering your team, or you do it yourself, and you actually start solving the problem. Then what are the challenges you run into, especially around evaluating the quality, or are you actually helping or not? So that's the next thing that you will do. And then as you add new things, you will add like new features, and we'll talk about this rag thing that you will add, but how to measure its quality. And then we will look at how can you scale this evaluation, because human evaluators are not going to do everything for you forever. So this is the idea today. I'm happy to, I don't know we can cover everything today, like, but happy to do another session on this, part one, part two. That's why the agenda for next week is not clear. I know what I want to do next week in next topic, but my goal is to see if we can finish this, so that at least all of us are on same page and all our ideas are in this session. So let's get started. uh, there is another thing that we can do, which is cool, which I know how to do, by the way, these days. So let's try this. So we cannot make LinkedIn happen. So just post on LinkedIn that it's not happening on LinkedIn, and people will be not happy with us, but we'll figure out next time maybe. That's the assignment for next time. So what happens is you get into this company. Let's see if I can start the slideshow. That's it. They have only one thing that they could identify. That's not fun. Play by paragraph, I said, and I said it on this also up here. Okay. So what happens is you get into this company. Let's just stop sharing. I think you guys all have access to this deck. If not, I will just paste it here. You do have access or no? I don't think
No.
so. Seems like me and
No,
Krish.
just give us the link then.
Yeah, let me just paste the link so you have it and we can talk.
Mahesh, it's okay if you want to share the screen, keep sharing. I think we can all look at your screen if it's good to have the slide also.
Here are the slide. We can keep sharing the screen. If
Yeah.
Brajesh shows, because I have a lot of like I take all his ideas in life, so we'll take another one. So you have the slides, but basically the idea is that okay, you can also discuss this. Do you have access to this doc? Maybe not. This has just my raw notes. Feel free to avoid this one, but this has detailed notes on what I was thinking I should cover. I just keep writing them as like my story points. We'll cover that also. So these are the two docs. But basically, you enter a new company, or you're building your own thing, which is Gen AI based. And what you're supposed to do is you come in and you're asked to say, "Hey, thank you for joining the company." You come and you start building. How will we set? Okay, you say, generally what happens is in big companies or small companies, the current state it that they have a centralized team which is experimenting with a lot of Gen AI ideas. And they are supposed given a charter of saying, hey, we need to go. We don't know what it can impact. There are three, four use cases in the company. Let's say sales has one use case, marketing has one use case, and maybe support has another use case. And then they have like core business use cases of onboarding the new employees and all. And they create a small team and they say, hey, why don't you go ahead and evaluate what's possible first, and then make it happen. We really want to be a Gen AI company. And why we want to be a Gen AI company? Any clues?
New trend.
That's a new trend. Very good. Because if you're not a Gen AI company, your stock sucks.
Pretty
So
much.
that's what you meant, Shashidhar, right?
Yeah.
Because I heard that a lot of pressure on like the largest company on a stock exchange because they are not an AI company. They've never like Does the company never followed the trends, and now everybody's pushing them to follow the trend, and now they have said they're going to come up with in a conference to announce. So internally, what they must have done is that they have created this centralized team and said, "Hey guys, tell me what can we do," and hopefully quarter by quarter show some Gen AI based impact. So if you look at like Microsoft explicitly started reporting what impact they have created in their numbers from AI based changes or AI based products they have launched, which was like around 4% or so in Azure. So people look at that, and now analysts look at that, and everybody's looking to ride this AI wave. And how can they ride the AI wave? They can first look at the companies those are investing in AI, and then what impact those companies are making because of AI. So this is three level of granularity that the world has already moved on. And that's why you are asked, or you're also supposed to share this idea that, I will just stop sharing if that helps, so that I can focus here. And the recording also will have our focus. It will have Shashidhar as the focus of the meeting today.
Oh, good
So
lord.
so that's the idea, right? That you will be, that's why most people are building, because there is a new tool in their tool chain, and they are looking to optimize, make it more efficient. That thread is always common. So if you're looking at return on investment, how the return of investment is measured is they're looking at improving the efficiency or completely automating. Anybody has any preference? Improve efficiency or automate? Where is more Gen AI looked at today?
Improve efficiency.
Efficiency.
Examples? Ankit, go ahead.
Mm, One, like in my current company, we are doing predictive maintenance for the cars. So like trying to help the car dealership employees be able to upsell to the customers about like, hey, you should be getting this specific work done and all. So like you're improving in a way efficiency and able to figure it out well. So that's how I'm thinking.
Yeah, so look at like anything that they are projecting today is mostly the idea that Ankit is bringing in, which is like this idea that Microsoft is saying Copilot. They are no more saying that fully digital transformation or automation of IoT things. They are saying, hey, here is here is how you can go and automate, get this Copilot. And now they have started doing Copilot for different verticals. So I saw their announcements around, hey, Copilot for medical, Copilot for manufacturing, Copilot for, hopefully one day, I'm waiting for that, Copilot for legal. So they are saying, hey, you have these employees, and especially white collared employees like you and me, and they are saying they charge you X amount of money for Y amount of job, and now you can do it with Y amount of hours, and now you can do it in Y minus Z amount of hours. Why? Because you paid $20 for a Copilot. Who doesn't want that? Like, if anybody says that I am paying more than like $30, $60, and they are going after professions which is like $200 per hour, like a lawyer profession or like a coder profession. So if both of them are charging like 150 $200, and now this tool, which is assistance, can make it 20-30% efficient, why not? So the ROI angle which I'm trying to land here is OPEX cost, or some way of reducing, increasing efficiency cost, right? That's the your North Star metrics if you are in the Gen AI team. And their metrics will be same, right? Eventually they need to produce more. Like in Ankit's case, they need to generate more leads. How can they generate more leads using the same number of agents? They can have uh, they can have AI assisted co-pilots now, and now these guys are getting recommendation on how to upscale faster. And now they need not to look for like 30 sources, they can just get it, and now they are giving it to the user or validating it. So that's the idea. And the Uber metrics that you will set up is around efficiency. So
Mahesh,
you
can
will
I have
say, yes, just I'm coming to you, just give me one second, and yes, you can add. Hypothesis is that some guy will make it X% faster because machines, and Y% less cost or more output, less cost or Z% more output if same amount, right? So we can start there. You can see it. Yes. Now you can see it. Yes. Go ahead. Harsha, sorry, your hand was up. I just wanted to land the idea. Go ahead.
Yes. So this is more of a clarification question, coming back to the efficiency part of, and then the Gen AI, right? So what I've seen is it mostly contributes to already existing metrics like turnaround time or mean time to resolution or customer satisfaction. And then Gen AI is supposed to come in and affect those metrics positively. So my question is, should we consider the percentage contribution of a Gen AI feature or capability to these already existing metrics or North Star metric and make that share or percentage as the real success metric for the Gen AI? So I was just thinking in terms of that. Yeah.
Yes. So what will happen is that generally, so one is like you are in department, right? So your department is, let's say, this car sales or software for car sales or car sales or support. Let's take our example of what we're going to run with today. So let's say you are a company, you are a law firm, right? You're a law firm, you have lawyers, and you charge per project. So let's say you take one contract and you're supposed to summarize the contract, find all the key terms, flag anything wrong, and that's the law firm's job. Who hires them? Some other companies which are looking for evaluating their contracts. Same page? So I have contracts. I'm a small company. I'm signing SaaS base. I sell software. I get contracts. I hire this law firm today. Law firm has lawyers. They look at contracts, and what they do is they summarize the contract, like what are the when, what are the logistics terms, what are the real terms, like who should pay, when should they get paid, what is the indemnity. So if something goes wrong, how much can they shoot for, and then how much they need to inform. If there is an emergent, should they inform? What is the data protection clauses and all? So this is a contract looks like. Now what the job to be done is the lawyer looks at this 500-page contract, extracts these terms, and flags anything wrong, and say, guys, I know you have already done this contract, but I'm just making you aware that you have signed these are your liabilities as a company. So now we are coming and we are saying, hey, now we have this awesome thing called Gen AI. Generally, what happens is these law firms will hire somebody else. That's the assumption I was running with when I was running this hypothetical scenario, that there is some third party. The law firm doesn't have data scientists, doesn't have researchers, or doesn't have even engineers. So what they are doing is they are asking somebody else to come and buy this software from, or let's say hire as a consultants to solve this problem, which is now make it Gen AI capable. Now, so that we can say we are a Gen AI based law firm. So when they come up, what is the key metrics for these guys could be? How much contracts they can process per day, per lawyer, right? So if they can move these metrics up, they can be more efficient. And they have done all the things, which is they have taken this job to lower grade, like divided the jobs, given only high paying, like high alert things to the real contractors. So that's the metrics for them. As you were saying in your scenario, that can we just say that we are going to make that happen? Yes, that's how they will come and pitch you, right? I'm just laying down so that we all are on the same page. So now you have this metrics, which is we want to improve per contract, per lawyer efficiency, right? How many contracts can we process per day, per lawyer, right? So that's one metrics that the law firm has. And if that metrics is moving up, the law firm is making more profit, hopefully, right? Now you are a company or you are a department in that law firm who says, I use Gen AI. So what you would be saying is, I am going to make it X% faster, Y% less cost to run that operation, because faster doesn't mean that it's costing, because I can just increase the number of lawyers, but at Y% less cost, or if you give me more of me, then I can increase the output. So now you can address per contract. So you will make some kind of hypothesis and claim here that will say that this metrics will move, but I am going to be responsible for this. Because there might be some other challenges in the company that, they fire all the lawyers and the lawyers don't work or they don't get the contracts. Then there is a subdivision here, and GenAI teams would be responsible, or GenAI based product will be responsible for solving these things. Do you see? Ideally, if the law firm and these two teams are like, this is a law firm first, GenAI first, and then law firm, then they will run with this metrics. And then they will add like the contract metrics. But mostly what I'm seeing is that this is the core metrics. They look for 100 ways, and one way is using GenAI. And the GenAI guys say that, yes, we can, if you use AI, we can make this processing in, like, instead of 4 hours, this will take 15 minutes. So now if you take 15 minutes, then let's say 2 hours, 10 minutes, then 2 hours to 10 minutes, you are basically improving it by 10x, right? So that's the proposal. That's the metrics. Harsha. And we'll keep doing this. I needed to do this anyways, so I just did it. So
Thank you so much. I think what you said leads to one very important epiphany, which is that I think it is worthwhile to think about GenAI as two kinds. One is a native product, GenAI native product, which is totally built ground up using GenAI capabilities, like, for example, the ability to write contracts from just some text prompts, right? Or are you incorporating GenAI capabilities into an existing product and then enhancing its output efficiencies or things like that? So these two, I think, are two very distinct yet connected, and they have their own challenges, their own metrics, and how they affect a bigger.
We are focused on the number two here, Harsha. So we are not focused on, because in our case, you cannot do that. Like, there's no way you can claim that you have written a contract and it's GenAI based. The law doesn't permit it. So you always have to assist the lawyer. The lawyer has to, you can give them the first draft, but they have to review. So they can say that I need 4 hours to write a contract today. And now you give them this product, and you can say now it will take you 15 minutes. And the lawyer can try, and then eventually will say whether 15, 30, or 8 hours. And then you have to prove otherwise. And that's what we will look into this session today. How can you prove it? Because the lawyer will be against you ideally. He would say, oh, he's going to take my job. So I would just keep saying it doesn't work. And it takes more time. And how can you prove that you are actually you take 15 minutes? He will take 15 minutes using your product. Because the guy who's going to validate your success is the guy who may not have a full interest in taking your product, because he feel little bit, his intentions are a little bit against you. So how can you still be proving with data that it is actually take 10 to 15%? That's what we will set into. Kalpan, Priyanka, after that.
I'm going to go back to the question to clarify one point here. Like you mentioned, whether we are automating or improving efficiency, I feel both are in the same bucket. How I look at this ROI business is either you're impacting the revenue or profitability of the company, or you're impacting the cost, one or the other side. And so if you automate something, you might actually be reducing the cost by improving the efficiency, by improving the process. We just give an example on board. So that kind of sits in the same bucket, because you improve the efficiency using GenAI. And hence you actually, to enable that, you automated some stuff, some part of the process or activity. The way I look at it is like either you're cutting the costs by eliminating part of your resources, whether it's a human or technology or other. So that way you made some impact on CEO's OKR or CFO's OKR, or you're actually assuming that you have more, if you empty the capacity, you have more work to do, more assignments to engage in, and hence improve the revenue. So I don't know. You might be automating.
To answer your question, right? I think let's clarify, right? So you're right that you are getting this efficiency out of automation. But what we were debating is it full automation or it is assisted automation? And we have said that we are the primary focus today, where most of the things are getting into production, is assisted automation, which I think you will agree as well, right? In your narrative, you also said the same thing. So we're not going after full automation, which is in our case replacing the lawyer. So we are saying that, hey, you know what? Take our product, and now you can just produce contract after contract, and they will be all perfect, and the other party will sign it. We are assuring you that's not possible today with Gen AI. So we are going with the assisted automated scenario to impact the baseline of the company, which is how many contract process, how many contract processed per day per lawyer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, agreed. Priyanka. Priyanka is like, let's go on, let's learn more. Is Priyanka gone? Priyanka, you're mute. We can't hear you. I can't hear you at least, but anybody
Yeah.
else can hear Priyanka?
We can't hear you, Priyanka.
Yeah, today we have a lot of today we have good news that at least I'm live and I can say things. Brijesh will come next, but I need to move on, Brijesh. So a couple of things. Maybe I will give you chance after the next idea.
Chance.
Yes, we can hear you, Priyanka, now. Great.
Awesome. I know we are on a topic of efficiency, but in my mind, I just had a quick question about accuracy. So let's say, for example, if you're feeding all these contracts through computer vision, and training the model and whatnot, and then you're using GenAI sort of as a assistant for the lawyer, right? So how do you think about the accuracy part of GenAI and the contracts itself that you've fed into the model?
Yeah, very, very good question. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So right now, the claim is that, yes, it is going to make the lawyer 15%. So there are two kind of claims going on. One is the Gen AI team is saying that, hey, or the new product which is pitching to this law firm is saying, hey, we are making them efficient. It is going to be 10%. And we have our numbers, hopefully. And we'll talk about how you can build those numbers also. But the guy on the other side, the lawyer who is using the product might say, huh, this is no use, this is bullshit, I'm not going to use this. So there is a challenge in between to get these things to production. And that's where the whole idea of BS is, which is there an ROI? And that
Mm,
comes down to accuracy. But accuracy is not binary in this world. It
mm,
is not code. So who is accurate? Is the lawyer accurate when he's saying these are all answers are wrong, or the company right is accurate when they are showing, when they analyze the same contract, these are the right answers? They can do it for one contract, right? One
correct.
contract they can win the battle, but you are trying to look at scale, and for thousands and thousands of contracts, how good you actually are, how accurately are you solving the problem, which is getting the key terms out, flagging
Yeah.
the wrong problems, and looking at things and getting this right. Once
Yeah.
this data is there, it's an objective data, and we'll see how can you judge that, right?
Yeah.
Brijesh,
I mean,
actually, go ahead. I thought Priyanka will take time, but this time it was straight
I think
question.
yeah.
overall, sorry, Priyanka, I didn't mean to cut you off. So I think overall, if we think about it, there is one more aspect, and Mahesh, I don't know if you'll touch on it, is basically helping your customer funnel end to end achieve like more conversions. Like if customer from point A and B, point B is the end goal of the customer in your customer journey, how can you either help them reach to that end goal quickly with Gen AI providing insights, and also how many more customers now are able to reach to their final conclusion or end point in your customer journey by using AI, and that is using insights. Basically, I think efficiency is one bucket. The other bucket can be that, hey, I have ton of data, I'm giving you or at every step of the funnel, customer can quickly make the decision and go to the next point, next step, because AI now is helping them move through the funnel.
Correct. So
That's it.
basically, you're saying let's divide this job of the lawyer into number of steps, which is he first loads the contract, then reads this section, then read this section, and how can AI help him? And then he extract this information, then he does the comparison against the
Mhm.
standards, and then he comes and flags. And you are using AI on each this step to do it faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so now you came in, you made some claims, you said that, hey, we're gonna make this. It takes like 2 hours to process a contract today by a lawyer. a lawyer charges $200, so total cost is $400. We can do it in 10 minutes. With our product, the lawyer can do it in 10 minutes because we have shortened the time on each step, because we are bringing all the terms and he just need to check yes or no, or we cite where we got the terms and he need to quickly check, and that takes 10 minutes for 10 terms, let's say. So now it's a 10 minutes job. Earlier it was 1.5 hour job, or 1 hour 20 minutes. Why? Because it was taking him, he need to go and read each and every page of 500 contract to find. Now the AI has gone and extracted these 12 terms and cited the source where they got it, which page number. And all he has to do is click on that page and verifies the term correct. If correct, we are good. If not correct, it takes 10-15 minutes. Right? Good.
Yeah.
That's your claim as a company. Okay. But the challenge is that you cite the sources and the sources are not correct. That's one. Uh, Also, you're answering a question, and some are objective questions, which is like, what happens in case the customer doesn't pay the charges, or what are the terms in this agreement which summarizes or summarize the terms, that is, that what is due next year for renewals. Third, can the customer actually request a renew in between, and what are the terms for that? And these are all subjective answers if you look at them. And the subjective answers have a quality challenge. So if it is objective answer, which is like, hey, when does contract renew? Who is the party in the contract? These are like straightforward answers. You can compare, and AI will give you an answer, and the guy can look at it and go there on the page and say yes, no. But for subjective answers, the challenge is, who is going to assess what is the right quality? Because I have a certain way of writing that whole summary of, let's say, a loan agreement clause of renewals, and AI has another way. Who judge that? Second is, again, this idea that I was talking about. You cite the sources, but the sources are not correct. And what if the information is on like 10 pages? Which one should you cite? Because you can choose to cite all the sources, but hopefully your product will choose like one or two to cite. Which one? And what is the quality of that citation? Because if I go on that page and I don't find the information, the lawyer can claim now I need to read 500 pages. So every wrong or misprovided content citation is basically making your product useless. Because if, let's say, I gave an answer which is like, let's say, what is the indemnification cost or indemnification clause for renewing, or in what happens in case of indemnification, that is the question, or what is the net term to payments, and the answer is 60, and I go to that page and I don't find that information, and that page basically says a formula, but now it's on 3 other pages which I don't know where they are. So as a lawyer, I can come and tell you that, dude, I need to go and now look at all these 500 pages again. So you didn't save me anything for this one thing that you failed. So that's the second part. And third is like how people ask these questions, that those nuances are really hard to present, because I can just say net term. And it's a normal question for a junior attorney to ask for net term. But if you just ask net term, I'm going to give you a definition. If I'm an LLM, I'm going to say, what is a net term? And then you have to tell me, oh, what is the net term in this agreement? And then maybe one more clarification. And fourth one is like, there is just too many right now. There's too many benchmark doing too much small area of these verification, and they are evolving. So if you say that I am accurate, I'm more precise, I have a better F1 score, or you say I have coherence, I have more relevance, I have more consistency in my citation, then you then there is a new one that's coming. And if that's the one, then you don't have that data and you have to go back and generate that data as the company. Are we on same page on challenges? Anybody want to add anything?
When you
So
said new one is coming, you mean a new metric to evaluate is coming, and then you have to reevaluate your models against. Oh, got it. Okay.
yeah, so there is like coherence was there, which is like how coherent your response to the one that is people have. So let's say you take a lawyer assessment on a subjective answer, you take a GPT one or your model one, your tool one, and then you say, yeah, how how much is this? There is a coherence in between these two, and then there is a consistency one that comes and which says how consistent they are. And now people say consistent is better than coherence, but you don't have consistency metrics data now. So now you need to go back and run it on whatever sample
So,
size contract you have chosen.
so Mahesh, is it like two levels of metrics we are talking about? One is the business level metric, where hey, what is the ROI, efficiency, how many more customers are now buying your product, end-to-end customer journey, and then the underlying is how good is you are comparing model to model or different. You talked about there are 20 good models now, is basically on a fundamental AI level. So there is one business metric on the top, and then the underlying is you are, before even you are putting that out in the world in front of the customers, you are comparing those business metrics, model gen AI or AI metrics.
Yeah. So absolutely right. So that's where we are headed. So what we are saying is that ROI, whatever ROI you are promising, which is 30%, 70% more efficiency, is basically saying that, hey, this ROI is coming from a subjective metrics, and that subjective metrics is that I am giving accurate results. And the accurate results can be measured by one, auto eval, like standard practices, which is like calculating the precision, confidence score, consistency score, and how good is your sample data on these. So you can just benchmark this by taking 100 queries, 100 answers, and put these numbers out automatically, and then claim I'm accurate. Because I'm accurate, I am providing you this efficiency. And similarly, you have human eval, where you hire humans to actually make the judgment, which is the solution helpful, is the solution not harmful, and is it honest, which is it is giving the answers that it claims to give you, right? So if you look at this, this is what eventually your business metrics are here. This is your product metrics that you need to go and prove to the world. And to prove to that world, you need two levers today. One is auto evals that you have done doing benchmarking, or you can take it from the model provider. And when you scale, you will need to come back to this again. And second, you can use humans to evaluate, which in this case was subject matter expert or your own lawyers, which are saying, yes, this is good, this is good. And if they, out of 100 queries, they say 80%, you are actually able to answer these questions correctly, you can claim that I'm 80% accurate. And if I am reducing it by 10x, I'm making you 10x efficient, at least you have seen by your own lawyers that I'm improving it by 8x. Does that make sense? Are we on the same page, team? Wow, we're making progress.
So what in terms of sequencing, this does make sense. So does it mean that you have to first satisfy the product metric or what you're building, doing auto eval and human, that before you can really expect, hey, it's going to do improve adoption, engagement, the business level metrics?
Yes. So what happens is you go to any enterprise and you say, I want to use this tool. First, they're going to ask you, how are you going to measure success and what are your numbers? And then they are going to ask their people to do a POC and evaluate your product. And to evaluating their product, they will bring like some 100 queries across different sections. So what they will do is so this is how it is done. Let's go step by step. That's exactly this exercise today is. So, okay, you got this. You went to them and you said, okay, first, even before you go to your customers, you need to find which model is good for you, right? So let me share my screen and let's go through the first exercise. So the first step in process, and we'll go step by step. We'll take questions after that. So let's go step by step in this journey. So first step is, hey, you need a model, right? So you start pitching this. You heard this that GenAI is super cool. Everybody can do it. You start pitching this solution, and finally, some guy said, "Okay, let's build it." Some executive sponsored it inside your company, or you finally got one customer who is ready to talk to you in a month time. So the first step is actually building the solution. So you go and you have many ways to find out which model to use. Uh, you can look at the Helm charts, which is by Stanford. There's a paper. They talk about all the models, most of the models, those are out there. What are their score across different kind of jobs or different kind of tasks that you need to perform. So if you're doing a Q&A task, then GPT-4 is better. And if you can't pay for GPT-4, then look for the next open source model. I think there was a way to filter it on open source models also. So you pick one of the models, you hire one guy, and you ask him to do a little bit prompt engineering, a front end guy, and you actually build a first prototype of your product. You start showing it to lawyers and say, hey, now you can upload a contract and start answering questions. Does that make sense? How will you choose the model? There is one way is this one, and another way is the cloud providers are putting out more fancier tools, which this is AI Studio by Azure. And here, what you can do is you can just select and you can go to model benchmarking. So they have all these models, which is in their catalog, which is available on Azure, which is a huge catalog. They've taken pretty much every open source model and put it here. And they keep adding new models also. So what you can do is how can you evaluate what would be the most accurate model for your use case? You can just go here, go to model benchmarking, and you can say you can benchmark one model against each other, or you can just pick a task. So let's say you are doing marketing, then you are looking more like text generation. If your goal is to generate marketing emails from like a new marketing campaign, then look for text generation models, otherwise question answering models, and then you can hit compare models. And here you can pick which matrix is more for you. So let's pick question answering, our task, because ours is question answering in a contract. And then you can say, actually, groundedness matter for me, which is that if I actually answer a question, I can cite where in the contract this answer came from. The moment you do this, this is what the data you have. You have zero data. You have basic data. So if you say accuracy, you will get accuracy numbers. You will get fluency. I think relevance also they published
So,
most
so
of the,
why is there no data for groundedness? Groundedness.
because the model provider has not done the benchmarking on this.
Okay.
So what they have done is they have taken the papers from all these models publishers, and whatever data they gave, they are using that data to show you or make that choice here. If they didn't provided the data on groundedness, you don't have that data. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this was the most important part for you in our scenario, let's say in the law scenario, because that's where we were failing, and now you don't have any data to make the call. So now you need to get that data, but you have other data to make that call, or you can use the Helm side, which I found two things very useful. One is um, the like something like this for us, like they have gone ahead and evaluated for legal specific data. So the legal bench is legal specific tasks and how good we are on those. So now if you're a law firm or a company which is building a Gen AI kind of tool for law firms, you can look for that specific data set and see who has done better. If you double click on this, you will find that the kind of problem we are trying to solve and the kind of evaluation they have done is different. But that's another day discussion. But at least it gives you a free idea without putting any cost of which models to compare. And let's say you pick this model now based on this data. You said, I'm going to pick this data. And there was another one which was like how much time it takes to evaluate the query, which was another useful thing that was good for me because efficiency actually. Yeah. So here you get like what is the inference time? Because the second metrics that will matter for you beyond accuracy is how quickly can you respond to a query. So if you takes too much time, it takes 30 minutes for you to just answer or read a 500-page contract and start answering questions. You want to actually take a model which is faster. So faster models, because you were claiming you will be done in 12 minutes and your model is taking 30 minutes to answer one question. A lawyer is taking like 2 hours to do 10 questions, your model will take 3 hours. So you need to look at both these ROIs and then make the model selection. But let's say you make the model selection, you started building your first product, then you ran into these challenges, which is when you went in and you wanted to solve for, you are saying it's awesome, they are saying it's not. They're saying it's bullshit, you are saying it's awesome. How can you actually go and evaluate? And what I have seen is in production, people are going and evaluating with humans. They're not using machines, they are not putting auto eval as their first criteria. They are saying, we are going to say, am I useful, which is mostly helpful? Am I honest, that I am not hallucinating or taking things out of order? And I'm not harmful, which is the third part, where most of the things failed for at least Google last week. Uh, but these are the three criterias, and you just hire subject matter expert, in our case lawyers, to look at the responses of AI generated content and mark each answer as whether it was helpful or not, whether the answer was honest, that he can characterize by answering these three questions, which is if the model made up the answer or gave a non-factual answer. Because let's say you ask him what is the net term, and it doesn't exist in the document, and it still says 30, then it's not an honest system. And if it's cited as source, but that page doesn't even exist, so let's say it gave the right answer, which is what is the legal, when this contract expires, but it cited a wrong page, then also it's not honest in its like observation, because I don't know how it concluded that. It might got it right, it is helpful, but it is not honest, because you cannot validate its understanding. Same page. And then looking at the third one, which is harmful, is it asking for personal information? Is it sharing bad PR for your company? If somebody asks the question that, hey, what are the problems with this law firm? And it just, because it has access to your internal data, it start putting out whatever analysis you have done in past 10 years inside your company. Now each and every customer has access to it. So you're trying to see it doesn't harm first the customers, and second the company that it is used, or the company that built it, or whatever data it has access to. And then you set up some metrics for launch, which is initial launch. You will say that, hey, why don't you give us a POC, and we will only process like 1% of your contracts. And these are like lowest uh, you know ROIs or risk wise, your lowest hanging fruits, and you give me those. And before you give me, I will take those contracts and your questions and prove to you that I'm more than 70% time helpful, I'm more than 80% time honest, I am less than 2% time harmless. Does that make sense? You're seeing the reality first time, right? Because generally people talk about like this Uber level idea of what a model is, what the accuracy of precision recall is, what their benchmarks look like, which is these help charts or whatever numbers they have published, and they say go put it in production. But in production there was step by step process. The first step is putting the minimum viable POC cohort or a measurement cohort, and setting a criteria around these three key metrics that people will care
So,
for GenAI products.
so Mahesh, I'm looking at these. It feels like these metrics you can also put in the bucket of leading indicators. Leading indicators, hey, before you productionalize it, we are demoing you the product. And these are the indicators that would make you believe that when you productionalize, integrate this into your workflow for lawyers, you will see the lagging indicators of, hey, you are more efficient, your efficiency increased, ROI increased, and all that. So is that right way to say that these are
Yeah.
leading indicators also?
Yes, that's how we were saying that, right? Here on the board also, that to get to your ROI, you need to be accurate. To be accurate, you need to do human evaluations. And to do human evaluation, you have to do helpful, harmful, honest. So first be this, then claim you are accurate. And once you are accurate, you can be efficient. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on. So you did the evaluation, you got 70% above, you got 80% above, you hire people, you basically said, now I have an in-house lawyer who's going to benchmark this data based on this customer contract and their queries. The only thing that is that you can't do is you can't generalize this. You can't say that I have taken some open source contract and now I'm like not harmful and please take me to 100% production. That rarely happens. So you have to take their data and prove on their data that this is real. Generally, you want to engage their lawyers, in my case, but in your case, whoever the human expert was who was responsible for this system should evaluate this system and give you data. I think harmless is the only item which you can do without them because it's little objective, but rest is really, really subjective. What is honest for them, what is useful for them has to come from them. And you have to meet that criteria. Once you meet the criteria, you go to the next cohort or the next production line, and you see that all your metrics are going down, which is you have increased the surface of the contracts that you can process. So you took like only one kind of contract, and in that also you have only analyzed their standard template, which is very basic, and doesn't have real complexities. Now, to roll out further, to prove that you're actually making an ROI impact on business, you have increased the cohort size to 20%. And once you did that, you saw all the metrics are falling. People are saying you're no more helpful because now you took a sample size of 100 queries or 100 contracts and asked the same human evaluators to evaluate. And I have seen it most of the times. I can almost guarantee it that your metrics are not going to go up, your metrics are going to go down because you have optimized your prompts, you have optimized your model with the initial cohort. And as you expand, you have to do more work. And this is a good indicator, but that's what will happen in production for you. Go ahead, Harsha.
Mahesh, I'm trying to do some cross domain thinking. I have a background in supply chain and Six Sigma things, right? So I'm just wondering if when we do the efficiency measurement, should we think in terms of quantum jumps in improvement, or is it going to be more valuable in iterative iterative way of showing, defining, measuring, and then improving it slowly and gradually? So as a product lead, I'm trying to understand if if there's value in thinking along these terms, or in order to show the value from Gen AI capabilities and show its business value. I
So
mean,
you're already showing, right? The value, the ROI you are going after is 10x. You're going to reduce the time it takes to process a 200-page contract from 2 hours to 10 minutes. That's transformational. So you are aiming for that, but how you reach there has to be iterative, at least in practice. Maybe in some domains, maybe you will go and you will really just take a model, put a prompt, and it's 10x. In practice, it doesn't happen 10x. What happens is you pick a cohort and there you are 10x, and the next complexity you go, there you are 6x, and then you have to make investment in your Gen AI solution, which is you do prompt engineering, you start taking their data, this you build it on your some GPT-4 is all you have with prompts, and now you say, okay, give me your contracts. Okay, give me the complex contracts. I'm not getting the indemnity clause right. Who have told anybody what is indemnity is? So first I have to go create maybe knowledge graphs for indemnity. Then I have to take contracts which actually solves indemnity problem, and then I will be accurate on indemnity clause only, or complex indemnity clauses in the lawyer contract, right? So whenever I get to that, I pass the quality bar, then I my impact is still transformational. If I got the indemnity right, I am saving 2 hours per
Right.
lawyer, right? And that's basically $400 saving per lawyer per day.
Yeah. See, the main motivation for my thinking this way is to take into account the risks and some inaccuracies from the Gen AI, LLMs and things. So, I mean, so I was just thinking, is there a way to parallelly handle the risks as well as to show demonstrable improvement?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if
So
you
that's
overpromise
the way
something and
I
then
came up with, right, in my own experience. that this is how you can take these things to production by dividing your stuff into less complex to more complex to completely complex. And some of these you will never be automating or even not be helping. Some you have to give up because some contracts are 600 pages long and they are negotiated on each line, and each line has a reference to 20 things outside this contract. Best of luck trying to do it in 10 minutes or making even a lawyer efficient in those ones. How you find it, that's the journey we will define. So I think it will take 2 sessions, which I was expecting. We are reaching like last 5 minutes. But when we meet again, right, we will see how can you improve these metrics by making your engineering investments, which is prompt tuning, RAG, fine tuning. These are the three we know and we have discussed. And then how to measure the quality of these new systems that you are bringing in. So we will talk about precision, recall, F1 score, fallouts, and then we will talk about uh, automated metrics like blue, raw, rouge, and precision, which we have already, and then some human metrics and how can you put them in production. And that will conclude our session.
Mahesh, I have a question. Can I?
Go ahead, Ankit. Ankit, go first, Harsha then.
Yeah, so Shashidhar, I told Shashidhar's Thunder. So it's all about what is a good enough time to launch a model in production. And I will nudge you not to talk about Gemini because you work in Google. Anything else, like what's a good time when to launch a model in production? Like how should we think about it? Like, is there some baseline accuracy, something? I'd love to get your thoughts.
Can you repeat your question?
When is a good time to launch a model in production? Because sometimes you don't want to be too early also because it's too bad. So like any guidance around
Yeah,
that?
so I think, yeah,
Are
I
you
think
talking about timing, Ankit, or are you talking about the based on the accuracy and how you would productionize it? I'm a bit confused there.
They both are same, right? Like, so timeline, like if your accuracy is not good enough, if your accuracy is only
So, I mean,
5%.
timing to market is different versus accuracy of a particular model
Okay,
and
this is a
to
higher level
market.
question. Yeah, this is a higher
okay,
level question.
let me try.
This is a good question. Yeah.
So I think what we are getting out is setting these numbers, Ankit, like 70%, 80%, and less than 2%. How an organization decide or come up with these percentages. So let's say you want to launch it yesterday. On timing, everybody wanted GenAI based impact yesterday.
Exactly.
If anybody would have told anyone that we're gonna make everything 10x more better, everybody wanted it yesterday. But when can you actually go to production is divided by what is the criteria you are setting up for your success and what is the percentage values of those criteria that you're going to meet. Now the question is how you come up with those numbers, because Mahesh just came up with 70, 82%. Like let's say I said harmless to be zero, right? Now your time to market is infinite. We will never have a scenario when if you run across 1,000 scenarios, it will be bad. If you set it to 5%, you can go faster. If you set it to 20%, you can go even faster. So that depends on who you are and what your company is. What I've seen is that large companies are trying to be too conscious about their decisions on especially harmless front and honest front. They go and iterate more and keep shifting their launch date unless they meet their bar for responsible AI practices and for them not to be sued, because at some point they want to claim that whatever they are saying is actually true. And they want to back it up by saying, we will stand by you if somebody sues you on the answers we gave you. To reach that kind of honesty, they need to invest. So they delay. Or at the other side, on the left hand side, where there are new startups, they are like super harmful and super less honest, but they launch because they set these numbers at like less than 20% and set this number as 50%. So that's how
How
you get
did
your
how did they come up with this numbers? Like it's just in air, or they have some baseline accuracy, like looking at what humans are doing?
correct. So this is coming by humans, right? So humans evaluate each and every answer of yours and they will give you yes or no. Is it harmful or not? And if they said harmful, and these are hopefully independent evaluators, and subject matter expert in the area they are dealing with.
Got
So
it.
you cannot like game this metrics. But once you come there, how you came up with 2 to 5%, 10%, that is very much how much responsible AI practices you are. Currently, it's really hard to standardize this or regulate this. That's where you're seeing all the variance I was talking about between startups and large players. Harsha.
Got it.
Yeah, Mahesh, it's not a question, but I just wanted to share something, and going off the last statement about how we will learn about different approaches like RAG, fine tuning, and the metrics and success and things like that. So I'm doing a side project on the sentiment analysis of Twitter/X, that is before Elon Musk came in November 2022, and then after Elon Musk came on board, this thing. So I web scraped about 26,000 app store reviews and put it as a data set. So I'm trying to see how to apply, different approaches to sentiment analysis through prompt engineering, through RAG, through fine tuning, and, really delve into the predictions of the sentiment from these reviews. So I'm really interested in the next few sessions how, you would do the guidance for applying these different methods and the metrics and see, and then evaluate how the sentiment analysis really comes about. So just thought I'll just mention that. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think it's a very interesting use case because, the sentiments from when Elon Musk took over is really, really, it has changed so much, and there's so many patterns that we can see.
Yeah, I think any subjective decisions like this are always like debatable, because if who you ask is the question, who gave those responses is the question. But I think your quest is real, which is no matter who gave the answers, you're just trying to see whatever the output data is, can you summarize it, and can
Yeah.
you summarize it with a lot of accuracy? So let's discuss that.
Yeah,
Means we
just
can
a
run.
project. It's
Yeah.
just a
So
project.
maybe what you do is, once we go through this contract example, maybe you do this whole thing, the framework that we are taking, and use it for your sentiment analysis. The advantage you have with sentiment analysis is that sentiment analysis does have APIs out of box, and those API returns a confidence score, and most of the times you can just claim that that's the right or wrong. So you need not to go into like helpfulness or subjectivity of hiring like human experts. You can just go with that confidence score, and if the confidence score is 70%, 80% above, then you can say this is right sentiment, and now you can just analyze it and say good, bad sentiment across timeline. That's how I would approach it. Okay, we didn't get time. We always have less time than we want. I
I
wanted to
have
discuss
a
at
question.
least what happened. Yes, Priyanka, we'll go to that, but I want to just let people
No,
go
no,
if
no,
they
just
want to
like
go.
what is the homework for next week?
Yes, the homework for next week is go through FAQs, understand these metrics. Like first, figure out anything that you have, what you are working on. How will you set these triple H metrics? What questions you will set up for your product? Or what is the criteria that you will bring for past launch, which we were touching. Like there is another section we can do, like why 70, 80%. So focus on this table and come up with yours. And second, start reading on precision, recall, fallout. We will discuss them so you have more questions, and play with this model ground and see what are the limitations and how will you select a model. Choose different tasks and see if you can select a model using Helm chart, this, and obviously there is Google product also for same, right? So they also have a model evaluator and you can use that. So take like 3 or 4 scenarios, and your job as a product manager is to write a paper which is like which model should you select and why. And then you can say I chose this model because it has this accuracy for my kind of jobs. I took these 3 tasks that we're going to perform. I evaluated these, and these are the scores for top 3 models. Then I took the cost, then I took the inference time, and here is my recommendation. So write that paper. So a lot of homeworks actually. I wish I can be you. Okay, then that's all for today. We will discuss next time what happened last week. I wanted to do that later today because last time we spent most of time discussing what happened last week. This time I wanted to dive into the topic. That meant that we made a lot of progress on the topic, but we didn't get to discuss what happened last week. I want to discuss Sora, I want to discuss Emo from Alibaba, and I wanted to discuss what went wrong for Google with Gemini image generation, and how, as a product manager, you would have thought about these things. Okay. Till then, peace. See you again Saturday.
So next time we will be focusing on these three things first, right?
Correct. It would be basically, the topic is part two of how to eval and set your accuracy metrics.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ankit. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye, team.
Thank you
See ya.
so much. Thank you.
Thanks.